Right now, you could be doing something that feels completely normal, eating fast, sleeping late, pushing through stress, grabbing food that barely looks like food anymore, and your gut may be responding like it's under attack. Not with some dramatic warning, not with instant pain, but with a quieter rebellion, slower digestion, strange bloating, brain fog you blame on lack of sleep, cravings that feel irrational, mood shifts that seem emotional but maybe biological. And the unsettling part is this: your body is often trying to protect you while you mistake the signal for random discomfort. Johns Hopkins Medicine Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Because your gut is not just a food tube, it is more like a living border city, lined with immune cells, nerve cells, microbes, chemical messengers, and microscopic gates that decide what gets in, what stays out, and what gets pushed away. You were never supposed to feel that system working. But when it gets disturbed, you don't just feel it in your stomach. You feel it in your energy, your hunger, your sleep, even your thoughts. And that's only the surface of what's happening. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Johns Hopkins Medicine. So if you've been told your gut just needs a tea, a powder, a flush, or some trendy cleanse, here's the hidden truth. Your colon was never designed to be pressure washed. It was designed to move, ferment, absorb, signal, defend, and eliminate on its own. The real question is not how to clean your gut like a dirty pipe. The real question is what you're doing every day that makes your gut environment harder to regulate. And this is where the story takes a strange turn. NIDDK Cleveland Clinic. Imagine a rainforest sealed inside you. Dense, alive, constantly negotiating. Some organisms help break down fibers your own body can't digest. Some produce molecules that feed your colon cells. Some influence inflammation. Some even help shape the chemical language traveling between your gut and brain. In a healthy state, this system isn't sterile. It's balanced. And that balance is what many people destroy while trying to feel clean. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. That's why the phrase gut detox is misleading. Your gut doesn't need to be emptied of life. It needs the right life to thrive. It needs motion, fiber, fermentation, rhythm, and recovery. When those disappear, something called dysbiosis can begin, a shift in the microbial ecosystem where helpful organisms lose ground and harmful patterns can take over, not always dramatically, sometimes subtly, enough to change digestion, immune behavior, and the signals your nervous system receives. But here's where it gets interesting. Your gut microbes don't just react to what you eat, they react to how you live. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health Nature Communications. Sleep matters, stress matters, meal timing matters, movement matters. Even the predictability of your day matters. Researchers have shown that the intestine operates on internal clocks, and those clocks help shape microbial rhythms and the metabolites those microbes produce. When rhythm breaks, microbial timing breaks too. And once the timing breaks, your gut stops behaving like a synchronized ecosystem and starts behaving more like a city during a power outage. Lights flickering, signals crossing, defenses weakening. Nature communications. This may explain why the same person can eat one way during a calm, structured period of life and feel fine, then eat similarly during a stressed, sleep-deprived season and suddenly feel swollen, irregular, heavy, reactive. It's not just the food. It's the biological context surrounding the food. Your gut is reading your schedule, your cortisol, your nervous system, your recovery, and your environment like a survival map. And this is the part nobody talks about. The gut you live in is partly built by the life you repeat. PMC/NCBI, Nature Communications. At the center of this story is a barrier so thin you'd never notice it, yet so important your entire internal world depends on it: the intestinal lining. Picture millions of cells fitted together like tiles, sealed by tiny protein locks called tight junctions. When that system is well regulated, it acts like an intelligent customs gate. Nutrients come through. Threats are screened. Waste moves along. But chronic stress can interfere with that gatekeeping system through brain-gut pathways involving the HPA axis, stress hormones, inflammatory signals, and even mast cells that release chemicals capable of disturbing those junctions, PMC/NCBI. So when people say, "I feel like my gut is off," They may be sensing something real, not toxins in the vague wellness sense, but a mismatch in permeability, microbial balance, immune activation, motility, or signaling. Stress hormones can alter tight junction proteins. Microbial shifts can change the metabolites bathing your intestinal wall. Low-fiber diets can starve microbes that normally ferment plant material into short-chain fatty acids, compounds that help maintain the colon's environment and influence immune function. This is not mystical. It is physiology. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, PMC/NCBI. And then there's the nervous system. Hidden in the wall of the digestive tract is the enteric nervous system, with more than 100 million nerve cells stretching from esophagus to rectum. Johns Hopkins describes it as a second brain, not because it writes poetry, but because it constantly manages digestion and communicates with the brain in your skull. Researchers have found that irritation in the gastrointestinal system may send signals to the central nervous system that trigger mood changes, not just the other way around, which means some of what you call anxiety, heaviness, irritability, or mental static may be part of a conversation your gut has been trying to have with you. Johns Hopkins Medicine, from an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. A creature with a damaged gut is a creature at risk. If the digestive tract is inflamed, infected, or energetically unstable, the brain should change behavior, more vigilance, altered appetite, different food seeking, different energy allocation. In other words, your cravings, fatigue, tension, and digestive discomfort are not always failures. Sometimes they are ancient survival messages delivered through a modern, overwhelmed system. But that raises a bigger question. If your gut already knows how to defend and repair itself, what actually helps it recover? And what scientists discovered next completely changed how many people think about healing the gut. One of the most surprising findings came from a Stanford study comparing a high-fiber diet with a high-fermented food diet in healthy adults over 10 weeks. Most people assume fiber automatically fixes everything, but the results were stranger than that. The fermented food group showed an increase in microbiome diversity and a decrease in inflammatory markers. The fiber group did not respond in the same simple universal way, especially when participants started with lower microbial diversity. That suggested an uncomfortable possibility. Some modern guts may be so depleted of fiber-processing microbes that suddenly adding more fiber doesn't always produce the expected benefit right away. Stanford Medicine, that changes the story completely, because now gut repair stops looking like one magic ingredient and starts looking like ecological restoration. If a forest loses the species that know how to use certain nutrients, dumping those nutrients back into the soil doesn't instantly restore the forest. You may first need to rebuild the living network. That's what makes fermented foods so interesting. In the Stanford trial, foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, kombucha, and similar fermented foods were associated with greater microbial diversity and lower inflammation, not as a miracle cure, as a signal that the gut is responsive to repeated ecological input. Stanford Medicine. And then comes the twist. Fiber still matters enormously. Harvard explains that dietary fiber reaches the colon, where microbes ferment it and release short-chain fatty acids. Those compounds lower colonic pH, shape which microbes can survive, and support multiple bodily functions. So the goal is not fiber or fermented foods. The deeper lesson is sequencing, consistency, and context. Some guts may need gradual rebuilding, not aggressive loading. Some may tolerate yogurt better than raw cruciferous mountains. Some may need rhythm and stress reduction before their digestion stops fighting every change. But that's not the real reason this topic matters. Because when your gut environment improves, the effect is rarely limited to digestion. The system begins influencing inflammation, energy extraction, glucose handling, immune calm, and brain signaling. Suddenly, the person who thought they needed a cleanse may actually need a more ancient pattern, diverse plant compounds, living foods if tolerated, regular sleep, consistent movement, and less assault from the things their biology never evolved to handle at industrial speed. Harvard, T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Stanford Medicine. This is where one of the biggest myths has to die, the belief that an empty gut is a healthier gut. It isn't. An emptied gut can feel lighter for a moment, the way shutting off a city can feel quiet. But silence is not health. Cleveland Clinic notes there is no proven health benefit to routine colon cleansing, and that colon cleanses can interfere with normal colon function and even create risks such as dehydration, perforation, and worsening of existing conditions. Your gut is not dirty because it contains bacteria or stool. A functioning large intestine is supposed to absorb water, host microbes, and move waste through peristalsis. That is not contamination, that is design. Cleveland Clinic NIDDK. Another myth is that symptoms always mean you need to eliminate more. Sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes your gut needs to be fed, not flushed. Fiber feeds microbes. Fermentation can introduce or support helpful microbial activity. Movement helps motility. Sleep helps rhythm. Stress reduction helps protect the barrier. These aren't glamorous interventions, which is exactly why they are ignored. They don't feel like forbidden knowledge, but ironically, they are closer to what your biology recognizes than almost anything sold as a reset. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health Nature Communications, PMC/NCBI. And then there's the modern food environment. A large BMJ umbrella review found that greater exposure to ultra-processed foods was associated with higher risk of multiple adverse outcomes, especially cardiometabolic, mental health, and mortality-related outcomes. That doesn't prove every packaged food poisons the gut, but it does challenge the fantasy that you can eat in a biologically chaotic way for months and erase the damage with a weekend cleanse. Repair is not a dramatic purge. Repair is removing repeated friction. The BMJ. Now the story becomes personal. If your mornings start with stress, your meals are rushed, your food is mostly ultra-processed, your nights are bright with screens, your sleep is irregular, and your movement is minimal, your gut may interpret your lifestyle as instability. That can show up as constipation one week, urgency the next, bloating after normal meals, cravings that feel impossible to control, a strange heaviness after eating, irritability, poor focus, or the feeling that your body is somehow inflamed without your being able to explain it. What researchers noticed next is important. These patterns often don't stay in the gut. They spill into mood, sleep, and behavior through the gut-brain axis. Johns Hopkins Medicine Nature Communications. This is why natural gut repair looks less like punishment and more like rebuilding trust with your own physiology. Eat real fiber-rich foods your system can tolerate consistently enough for microbes to use them. Introduce fermented foods carefully if they agree with you. Respect meal timing and sleep timing because your gut keeps time. Move your body because motion affects motion. Lower the chronic alarm load on your nervous system because stress is not just a feeling in your head. It can alter permeability, inflammation, and gut signaling. And this is where everything changes. The cleanest gut is not the emptiest one. It's the one that can perform its rhythms without constant interference. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Stanford Medicine, PMC/NCBI. So the deeper truth is almost the opposite of what wellness culture sells you. Your gut is not a filthy pipe waiting to be blasted clean. It is a living negotiation between microbes, nerves, immune cells, hormones, circadian rhythm, food, and behavior. When it breaks down, the answer is rarely violence. It is usually better signaling, better timing, better inputs, better recovery. The body already knows how to eliminate waste. What it struggles with is the non-stop confusion of modern life, processed foods, broken rhythms, chronic stress, and the illusion that a shortcut can replace a pattern. NIDDK, the BMJ. And maybe that's the most unsettling realization of all. What you call gut problems may not be random. They may be the most honest messages your body sends. Messages about how you eat, how you sleep, how you rush, how you cope, and what your biology has been forced to normalize. Your gut may not need a detox. It may need you to stop interrupting the repair it's been trying to do all along. So the real question isn't whether your body knows how to clean and rebuild your gut naturally. It's whether your daily habits have been quietly stopping it this entire time.